This video will go over creating a photo collage based on a series theme of your choice. And we're going to first just kind of briefly talk about composition, and then I will go into getting your photos from your phone onto the collage maker on Adobe Express. So first off with composition, again, we're kind of focusing on these 6 types, but just remember that there are lots of other ways to do composition, and there are really no rules as far as composition goes. These are just some techniques that you are encouraged to try. So don't forget that point of view could also be a macro photo. Same with near far, that can also be macro. So some of those, some types will also kind of cross over. So you could have a rule of thirds image, but also be using framing. And again, these are some examples using each of these techniques. So you should hopefully understand those by now, but if not, feel free to just Google rule of thirds photography and see what comes up, or a POV for point of view or lighting. There's lots of ways to use each of these techniques in creative ways. So I encourage you to try that. Next up, you need to choose your theme, and that's where I give you a list of themes here. Let me just pull it up. The themes are they can be fairly open-ended, or they can be very specific. Sometimes it's a good idea to just choose a color if you can't figure out what kind of theme you'd like to do. So for example, like the color red or the color orange, and you just go and find those objects or things that are those colors. Or you can be more specific, like barns. Maybe you're going to go out and you're going to take pictures of different barns, or balloons or bad weather. These are just ideas. So as you are taking photos, then hopefully you can catch some of these things. Now, some of these, again, are going to be easier than others, like church windows. If you don't live near a church, that might be kind of hard to do. So maybe you want to just choose like Rochester as your theme, and you're going to go around and take different photos around Rochester. Or maybe you're going to look for a certain shape, so like different circles or balls or something around your area, wherever you are. So feel free to really think about your theme, consider it, make sure it's interesting. So I would certainly encourage you, if you want to get outside, great, but instead of just doing like the theme is outside, maybe be a little more specific. Maybe it is going to be different maple trees, or maybe you're going to just take photos of different leaves, like different leaf shapes. Try to be a little more specific than just nature or outside, or like photos of your dog or something. I know that can be kind of fun to say, oh, I'm just going to take photos of my dog. Well, how about be a little more specific? Maybe it's your dog eating, or your dog doing different tricks, like just to make it a little more interesting. So most of these are fairly specific, but you're allowed to choose just about any theme you want as long as it's school appropriate. So feel free to check out that list first. My theme is acorns. So I have my acorns images saved right now. I took my images from my phone, put them onto my downloads. So I have all of my images here, and we're ready to put them into my collage maker. So on that Google Classroom assignment, there's the link there to the Adobe Express collage maker. I believe I'm already signed in. We'll see here. You should be able to click create now. If you're not signed in, it will prompt you to do that, and then you should be able to go to the collage maker. I'm just going to hide this button here for a minute. Okay. Might take a minute here. Hopefully it works. So from here, it's very similar actually to Canva. So if you've used Canva before, this will be fairly straightforward. You can change your background here. You don't need to worry about any like major changes here. It's mainly just background color. Media, that's where you're going to be uploading your stuff, and then grids. And I should have said, with the sign on, just sign in with your normal Adobe CC login. So the same way you logged in to get into Photoshop is the same way you'll log into Adobe Express. It is free to use across all, even personal emails, but it's just easier to keep everything together in our school accounts versus making another account. Okay. So I have my layout here. I'm going to first go to grids, and based on how many images you have, this is where you're really going to have to think about the layout. And you can do this in multiple ways. So let's say all of my images are very vertical, and you can also take a look at this before taking your photos, and that will help you too. Like if you want to crop something or mess around with it, you have those options. But there are lots of options here. So like here we have 8 photos, there's the 9 photos, just squares, and I'll just do that one for now, because I can always edit it later. Now, since it's 9 images and they're square, if I stretch it out here, it's not necessarily going to fit within the document. So that's where I'm going to have to do a little stretching. And they're going to be less squares and more just like standard vertical images, if that makes sense. Okay, so the grid is just kind of a layout. You're just choosing your layout. You're choosing backgrounds. You can kind of set stuff like that. I'm going to go in and change my background color to black. You can change it to whatever color you want. Okay, so I'm going to go into media and I'm going to upload pictures from my device. So that's from the computer, and this is where I can go in and add all my photos. Now I'm just going to click on the first one here. I'm going to scroll down, and then I'm going to hold down Shift on the keyboard. So Shift, and then click on the last one. It should select all of them, and now I can say open, and it should open up all of my images, unless some didn't work. Let's see. There we go. Maybe. They're all slowly adding. There we go. Okay, so I kind of just told you wrong. I just quick paused here, but you're going to go ahead and double click on the box where you want your image, and then you should be able to add your image, or you can also go into, where'd that go? Just disappeared on me. Okay, here we go. When you click on it, you can click replace, and then you can say upload from device, or if it's already in here, you can then, pick and choose your images basically and drag them over to where you want them to be. So that's also a way to do it. I'm just going to click on the box here. So you just have to make sure you're selecting the box. I'm going to say replace here. We'll just upload one. We'll do this one next. There we go. And then from there, you can kind of shift and move things around. Now, obviously, some cropping is happening here. So if you have a horizontal image, you might have to crop some things or choose a different layout. So just consider that too. So here's my next one. I'll replace it. We'll say upload from device. We'll just do that one for now. Just piece by piece. I have more than 9, so I'm just going to choose my 9 favorites. We'll do this guy. You kind of have to think about layout and balance and what's going to work best. I have 2 images of squirrels. I wouldn't necessarily want those next to each other, so I'm going to try and space those out. Maybe I'll put the other squirrel down here. There we go. I'm going to move him over so you can actually see him. There we go. So it's a little tedious, but it's kind of nice because then everything's spaced evenly. You have everything in the right place. And you don't have to go in and resize everything necessarily. And the green one. There we go. Okay, almost done. There's my last one. Okay. So I have all of my acorn images. Here's where I can really go in and play around with that. That spacing, it'll let me. There we go. Okay. Now, again, you can spend some time playing around with the padding and all of that and making sure everything is where it needs to be. And then when you are ready to download this, we're going to go to download. And then you can choose PNG or PDF. Either one is fine. I recommend sticking with one of those. So this is great for images. This is great for documents. Doesn't really matter. Just download one of those. And when you download it, it should go to your downloads on your computer. So here's mine. And then when I open it up, I should be able to see your finished collage, and you'll upload this to Google Classroom. So here's my beautiful finished collage, ready to be uploaded to Google Classroom for the photo series. On Google Classroom, don't forget to also answer the question where it asks what kind of theme you chose. So my theme is acorns. Make sure you include that as a private comment, so that way it's very clear that this is the series theme that you chose. And that's pretty much it. So from here, this actually auto saves within Adobe Express. You can save it with a name here too if you want to call it collage or something. So when you download it, the name will be collage. But essentially, yep, there it is again. That is it. So you can do more than 9 images if you want to. You can do more than that. But that is all that's required. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, enjoy making your own photo collage.